Here's Zwack is a brigadier general and former U.S. defense attache to Russia. He joins me now live from Newport, Rhode Island. Great to have you here with us on TRT World. See, not the first time Ukraine is being pushed to agree to a plan which largely favors Russia. But, General, I feel like there's something different this time around.
Okay, I think that there's a foundational aspect of this plan that has been, maybe it's been addressed, but it's neglected, and that is no negotiation of a plan about Ukraine without the Ukrainians. And I think this is going to be a problem. There are items on the discussion on the agenda that are completely unpalatable for the Ukrainians, and also the EU. Some of the EU countries will not support it. The whole idea of giving back Ukrainian lands that were signed for Ukrainian back in at the Budapest Memorandum by the Russians. It is good they have made some steps, but Ukraine should have the ability to determine the size of its army. Can Ukraine trust the Russians in a ceasefire? Now, there's some code written in that a provision that the U.S. would intervene if the Russians intervene. There is a lot of items here. Reliable security guarantees that needs to be spelled out. So I don't know. Ukraine is it's an ugly fight. Certainly along Donetsk, and you mentioned Pokrovsk. Yes, the Ukrainians are fighting, but they don't want to do this under these circumstances, and I think this is a major issue that they have with our country, even on this peace plan.
General, you pointed out security guarantees, and of course, these security guarantees are part of this proposed peace plan. But here's my question. I mean, there were security guarantees given to Ukraine in the past, but we all know those security guarantees meant nothing when it came to protecting Ukraine. Russia invaded back in 2014, Crimea. Russia invaded again in 2022. So if there are new security guarantees, given the track record, why should Ukrainians trust the Americans?
You are spot on. You are absolutely spot on. And the security guarantee that would involve the United States intervening on the ground in Ukraine, that will have to go to Congress. And while I think my country believes strongly in supporting Ukraine, that doesn't necessarily mean ground troops. And I think that Europe, is in the same debate. Now, if the United States and our European allies are all in on something like that, this is key, then it would be more palatable. But you're exactly right. We saw I was in Moscow in 2014. I saw the Minsk agreement fail. And so there is a lot. Now, it is good they're talking. I mean, and that in itself, they've got their positions on the playing field, but to hurry the Ukrainians at this time, which we are doing, I think could land them in a unpalatable arrangement. I mean, a limitation to Ukraine's army. They're already, hanging on, and I could go down the list. And everybody, we all want peace. But Russia, good, they're talking, good, U.S., yes. But where's Ukraine, and where are the bulk of our European allies? This is a continental level agreement to be had. The two countries, just as you suggest, simply, as we've seen, don't trust each other. And the Ukrainians will just see this for the Russians to pull their forces together and then continue their strikes, finish taking Donetsk. The Battle of Pokrovsk is very, very ugly and in doubt. So I think Ukraine needs our collective back, and Russia needs to know they're not going to get a free ride on this.
Right, and General, what I find mind-boggling is the fact that this is perhaps the first time we are seeing the Russians and the Americans see eye to eye when it comes to the future of Ukraine. I mean, both Russia and the United States, they have the same vision for Ukraine as part of President Donald Trump's second administration. So, let me say this. Let's assume for a second that this peace plan is implemented and Ukraine cedes territory to Russia. The United States recognizes Donbass and Crimea as part of Russia. What kind of precedent is that going to set? I mean, many would say if such a thing happens, that would mean the end of international law for that region.
Again, you are. By the way, it's good seeing you again. Always good questions, and this is a really, really good one. And I think it's at the crux. We can't be doing this by ourselves. We need to do this as a collective. And Russia needs to see that instead of, in many ways, diplomatically trying to divide and conquer. And I just look, and Zelensky, and Ukraine's got its issues. It's got its faults. It's got major problems right now domestically, right? But this transcends this. The United States, I think, domestically will have a major discussion about this, and we can't go about this alone. And I think, you have NATO and the EU. And I'm agreeing with you. I believe many others, many Americans that have been involved, if you will, in aspects of this, would love to see peace, would love to see a good right. deal, if you will, and just see this just setting the ground up, which I think is what you're suggesting, for another round, which we've seen in Ukraine, we've seen in Georgia, right. and I don't know where this will go from here.
Fascinating insights, Brigadier General Peter Zwack. Thank you very much for joining me here on TRT.